Sebastian had been hired by Miranda the day before, a wealthy widow who lived in a secluded mansion house that had a dark history. She claimed that she was being haunted by the ghosts of her ancestors and wanted Sebastian to help her get rid of them. At least investigate the house and give Molly a report of his findings. Sebastian had spent the night at the mansion house, exploring every room and taking photos with his special camera that could capture the presence of the supernatural. He had encountered several spooky sights and sounds, such as cold spots, moving objects, and disembodied voices. He had also felt a strong negative energy that seemed to emanate from the basement, where he had found a locked door that he couldn't open. The next morning, he returned to his study to examine the photos he had taken. He hoped to find some clues or patterns that could explain the strange phenomena he had witnessed. As he developed one of the pictures, he noticed a faint outline of a woman in a white dress standing behind a window. He didn't recognize who it was. He wondered if she was one of Miranda's ancestors or someone else. He was about to look at another photo when he received a psychic message from Jenny, his partner and assistant. She was also a paranormal investigator who had many different gifts. Amongst them, she could sense and manipulate the emotions of others. She was currently working with another of their clients, a young couple who had bought a haunted house and wanted to make it more livable. She had taken a short break to contact him. It was like telepathic communication that bypassed his ears and went straight to his brain. She wanted to know how he had got on with Miranda, his new client at her old mansion house. He suggested that she come over to his place that evening so he could show her the photographs he had taken and discuss his visit to the mansion the day before. Jenny agreed a time and broke off the psychic link with Sebastian. He put the photo of the woman in the white dress aside and picked up another one. It showed a dark hallway with a large painting on the wall. He picked up his magnifying glass and looked closely at the painting and gasped. It was a portrait of Miranda, but she looked much older, about 70 and more beautiful. She had long black hair and piercing green eyes. She wore a red dress that contrasted with her pale skin. She smiled seductively from the painting, as if she knew that it was Sebastian who was looking at her. He felt a sudden attraction to her that he couldn't explain. He had met her yesterday and she had seemed like a nice lady, but nothing more. She was in her 30s, with blonde hair. She had been friendly and polite, but also distant and sad. She had told him that she had been married, but he had died of a heart attack a few years ago. She had also mentioned that she had no children or relatives to keep her company. She said that she felt lonely and scared in the big house, especially at night when the ghosts came out. He wondered how she could have changed so much from the woman in the painting to the woman he had met. He wondered if the painting was really of her or someone else who looked like her. Was there some kind of curse or magic involved? He thought if he should ask her about it or keep it to himself. He decided to keep it to himself for now. He didn't want to offend her or make her suspicious of his motives. He wanted to help her with her problems and situation she now had and needed to find out more about the mansion house and its secrets. He needed to see what was behind the locked door in the basement and to meet the woman in the white dress and ask her who she was, if that was at all possible. He had to speak to Miranda soon to arrange another visit for Jenny. Sebastian had a productive meeting with Jenny, who shared her insights and observations about the mansion house and its mysterious connection to Miranda. We discussed in detail the various events and phenomena that occurred whenever Miranda set foot in the old building, and tried to find some plausible explanations for them. We also delved into the history and background of the mansion house, and speculated if there was any concealed secret or curse that influenced Miranda and her kin. It was a captivating and illuminating discussion that revealed new opportunities and inquiries for further exploration. The past week had been a roller coaster of bizarre and exhilarating experiences for Sebastian, as he encountered various manifestations of spectral activity and uncanny connections with the painting that he unearthed in his photograph. He needed to investigate the photograph that he had inspected, which revealed a mysterious figure in the background that resembled a painting from the 17th century. He was fascinated by this finding and decided to delve deeper into it, but he soon realized that he was out of his depth. The painting seemed to have a mind of its own, and it guided him to uncover some sinister secrets and perilous threats. He needed someone to assist him with this case, so he reached out to his friend Molly, who is also an enthusiast of the paranormal. She agreed to accompany him in this quest, and they set out to unravel the mystery of the painting. They decided to spend a week in London so that they would be in walking distance of most of their old haunts, such as the British Library, Somerset House for access to the births, marriages and deaths records, and of course all the smaller second-hand bookshops where we tend to visit and spend hours on research, drinking tea, and delighting in the occasional cream cake. Jenny had tasked herself with a few days, staying with Miranda at the old mansion house to see if she could connect with any spirits or psychic phenomenon of any kind. Molly suggested that she and Sebastian travel down to London on Sunday evening and stay at Mrs. Grumble's guest house for the week, an easy and excellent arrangement because of two things. Firstly, the food, at any time of the day, is absolutely delicious, the breakfast being the perfect meal to the start of any day, and secondly, because Mrs. Grumble is their adopted auntie who has been their hostess for over 15 years whenever they stayed in London. Molly and Sebastian started early the following morning, and due to Molly's amazing connections managed to gain them special access into the British Library at 7:30 through one of the staff entrances. They made their way up to the occult section where Molly slowly walked through lines of bookshelves, stroking the books on each side using her psychic powers to sense anything that might relate to the old mansion house. Sebastian had collected several occult and metaphysical books and piled them into two heaps. He scanned through the books quite quickly as he had the ability to, what you might call, power read. Probably taking about 1 to 2 seconds a page to read. He had started with Egyptian myths and occultism, working forwards through history. Meanwhile, Molly was certainly starting to feel some tingling at the tips of her fingers as she worked her way, alphabetically through the lines of shelves. She reached the letter C, but when she looked at the titles nothing seemed to catch her eye or thoughts. Molly could sense that her powers were pulling her to a specific book, yet it made no sense because the title was about a list of crown coroners. Yet when she tried to pass it by, the book drew her hand towards it like a magnet. Molly pulled her hand back and the book seemed to jump off the shelf onto the floor in front of her. The book had fallen open and it showed a list of coroners, and one had been underlined with pencil. The underlined name was William Wynne Westcott,